We would like to welcome back John Allam, the co-founder and CEO of CervoMed Inc., which trades on the NASDAQ under the symbol CRVO. CervoMed is a clinical stage company dedicated to the development and commercialization of drug treatments for age-related neurological disorder with a focus on the early stages of the disease process. It's wonderful to see you, Dr. Allam. I know you have a really great update that you are going to share with us today. Welcome back.
Thank you, Anna. It's great to be back. Thank you for that, again, for that very nice introduction. Yes. If I can have the slide up, is that?
Yes, it's up.
It's up.
Okay, great. Yes, it is it's a very coincidentally, it turns out to be a very exciting day for us. We appointed today Dr. Joshua Boger, who is onto our board and as a chairman of our board, as a chair of the board at CervoMed. He is a founder and was for almost 20 years the CEO at Vertex Pharmaceuticals, which I think, as many of you know, is now one of the top 15 to 20 pharmaceutical companies in the world. They're well on their way to coming as close to curing cystic fibrosis as you can get. And Joshua was the founder and really built the company to where they had the capability to what they've been doing in the last few years. His coming on board I think it's a great time for him to be coming on board right now. We are, as we talked about in last time, we're a CNS-focused company. We're developing an oral drug. Our lead focus is on dementia with Lewy bodies, where we have positive phase 2 clinical trial data published in major journals. We have a means of identifying patients who have the most highest level of response to our drug treatment using a blood test, and it's the pure DLB population. And we are actively enrolling into a confirmatory trial, that phase 2b trial that will read out by the end of the year, which we believe has the ability, and we believe will definitively show that this drug works for this very devastating disease. You know, Joshua coming on board now is a testament to the fact that he believes. He's been an investor in the program and the company that I've been leading since for now 2016. He's been following the program very carefully. In the last couple of years, all of the science and the clinical data and everything has come together. This is going to be the data readout could be an enormous, impactful transformational event for the year. And he's coming on board now, both again to validate, provide credibility to the science and the team, to work with the team to prepare us for this inflection point, to support us as we develop the strategy, financing strategy, and the plans going forward from there. And he obviously has a kind of background that can really make a meaningful impact in how we enter into this transformational event and come out of that transformational event, we hope, with really accelerating the transformation of the company.
Wonderful. Well, that's a great way to start off this update. I want to talk specifically about the drug regarding the observed efficacy, the impact on the development timeline you mentioned. What is the timeline through to NDA filing, and what are your plans for taking neflamapimod to the market? You'll say that better than me, doctor. So talk about taking that to the market. Are you doing it on your own? Do you have a partner? Take some time with this.
So the last part of Joshua's quote is kind of underlies the whole timeline discussion, which is that the drug in the clinical data that we have right now and based on the science has the potential and is showing signs that it not only slows future decline, but actually restores function. And what that means is that in a clinical study, you can see effects as soon as a few weeks into treatment and certainly a few months into treatment, and meaningful differences that allows us, as we are doing, to definitively show that the drug works within a phase 2 study and significantly de-risk phase 3. But it also fundamentally means, in terms of that timeline, that the phase 3 trial can be a 6-month trial and in a much smaller number of patients than most people are used to and what we see in Alzheimer's disease, where it's at least an 18-month duration of trial and it's 1,000 patients or more. We are looking at 300 patients, 6-month phase 3 trial in terms of treatment duration. Tangibly, what that means is rather than 4 years or more in phase 3, it's 2 years in phase 3. And if we are, as we indicated in our press release today, on track with enrolling our phase 2b study within the first half of this year, data readout in the second half of the year, starting phase 3, then we could start phase 3 in the middle of 2025, and we would be ready to file an NDA in 2027. I would add to that from a investor standpoint. I know this is your audience, people who are listening tend to not to be biotech in particular focused companies. And what I mean by biotech is companies that are in the R&D stage, not generating revenue as we are. And we are several years away even today, obviously, even with the phase 2b results, still maybe 2 years away or 3 years away from actually generating revenue. But in the biotech investment world, the market, the professional institutional investors know how to value companies well ahead of when they are actually on the market. And what they're doing is projecting earnings after approval and discounting for time and probability of success and the amount of investment required to do that. Where we're going to end up at, if we are successful, and this is based on the science and the work that we do, that we believe we will be successful in this phase 2b trial. At that time, when you're looking out at a potential approval in a major disease indication with high commercial opportunity, like dementia with Lewy bodies, you're 2 years away or 2 to 3 years away. You've de-risked phase 3, so the probability of success is high, and there's not that much investment. When you do all of that discount, even though we're several years away from the market, the value in the company and the asset is very high. I'm not promising in terms of any share price or wherever. That depends on whether the market fully factors in this and their own calculations of investment. But again, in the way the market has traditionally valued by companies in the R&D stage, a drug that has high commercial opportunity, limited time, but to the market, not that long, and a high probability of success should be valued by the market at a very high. That is, as an investor, you don't need to wait for that final approval. There is a potential for value creation in the company and a return that we believe is substantial, again, pending being able to actually successfully complete this trial and meet the endpoint. There is this potential even within by the end of the year or early part of 2025 in terms of when, the market fully values in the company. With success here, there's a major value creation potential.
And Rick Hansen asks, when are you expecting to be able to display some new data?
So from the main clinical trial standpoint, data standpoint, obviously it is in the phase 2b trial. Again, we're making the kind of progress that we were planning on. We're progressing well in the phase 2b study in terms of enrollment. We are on track to complete enrollment within the first half of the year, and so that data readout, which would be the most significant clinical data readout, would be in the second half of the year. We do have, and there's an abstract that is public now. There's a meeting that's called the Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, the ADPD meeting in early March. We have an abstract there on our biomarker results in dementia with Lewy bodies, and we are presenting information in that meeting. And there are other publications in the works that you will hear about that will be full publications, manuscripts within the first half of this year, as well as there are additional meetings through the year. So there will be continuous data and more understanding of what the potential of our drug that we're building on all the way through the year. But obviously, the most meaningful clinical data is the phase 2b clinical trial.
And last question quickly from Cecilia. Can one speculate that Dr. Bogger may bring on his past associates and associations since he is now a partner with you all?
So one of those associations is myself. I worked for Josh as head of clinical and then and chief medical officer and EVP of drug development, of medicines development at Vertex. And this is intrinsically part of it. He has a better understanding of the management team here, both myself and my co-founder, Sylvie Gregoire, who was a former chair and is remaining on the board. We are intrinsically part of Josh's network and team, and this is part of the reason he is taking on this chair role, is he knows the team and actually the board quite well, and he believes in us, and that's intrinsically part of it. And absolutely, beyond that, this is my comment earlier, going into the data and coming out of the data, the company will transform, and that will include more senior leadership. And that is intrinsically one of the reasons you bring on certain board members, that you draw on their network, they know people, that they can bring to us, and just his mere presence, again, raises the profile of the company in lots of different ways. And one of those is attracting talent. And that's definitely one of the reasons why we're really excited by the prospects of him coming on board.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations on this addition to your board and these updates. We appreciate you coming back onto our conference, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back again. It was great. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you again soon. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.